Alright, welcome to the collapse experiment, where I finally have some free time, because I only have 2 out of what was 4 jobs now. And if one of my current employers keeps it up, guess what? I'm probably going to be down to 1, because getting a little sick of their shit. So, earlier today, I was watching a video on there's a company, I don't think it's around anymore, that worked for the military. Rhymes with Beagle. Yeah. So anyways, they did this forecast 2025. This has been coming up quite a bit lately. I don't know why. I too have been thinking about it, especially with a lot of this World War III stuff going on, because when that report came out, even I was baffled on how is the population going to drop to the numbers that they said it was going to. What did they know that I didn't? Well, obviously now, maybe, perhaps, they were also forecasting, oh, I don't know, nuclear war. So this is actually something I have been trying to prepare for. Seems odd. For some reason in this country, people just don't seem to give a shit about it anymore. It's like, oh hey, the Berlin Wall came down, the Iron Curtain fell, the Cold War is over. We don't have to worry about that anymore. You're crazy. Well, I hate to break it to you, but there is a very real possibility that this could actually happen. And we are getting closer and closer to it. And here's the damnedest thing. I found a bunch of Life magazines from the early 60s, all of them pertaining to Russia, communism, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Yeah, a 3-parter on the Cuban Missile Crisis, maps and all. We're currently closer to nuclear war than we were back then. And this was a time period where people were building fallout shelters in their basements. I've been in one, no kidding. And people took it seriously back then. Today, oh, the government's going to take care of you. No, they're not. You see, the closest thing you're going to get, if anything at all, is that little message that you got on your phone the other day. And keep in mind, Maui. You remember Maui? I mean, the island's still there, but if you've ever been there, it probably does not look the same as you remember. So yeah, the people of Maui, wildfire, destroyed everything, killed, we don't even know how many people it killed, because they're basically hiding the numbers from us. And even they couldn't get something on their phone saying, you might want to evacuate. But they did get that oopsie, you know, a couple years ago. I think it was like 2018. The one that had people throwing their kids into sewers and drainage pipes, hoping that maybe, somehow, possibly, after detonation, that their kids would survive. Yeah, that happened. I mean, so, and that was an oops. There's no telling if they would actually give us the, what, it's 10, 15 minutes from the moment that they're actually en route over here that we have. Go up the chain of command. Somebody's got to say, oh yeah, do that thing. That message has to get out to the other person. You might, on a good day, you might get 5 minutes. Maybe. Here's the other thing. So Russia, in all of their wisdom, and even though they're a bunch of commies, they've got a pretty messed up culture from my understanding. But they never got rid of their shelters. Actually, they improved upon them. And they supply gas masks to their people. And they stockpile food. And they make sure that large amounts of people could survive if something like that happened. And I'm going to tell you a little story about when I worked for the government. Yeah, granted, it was a county. Yes, I worked for a county somewhere in Michigan where I would clean courthouses, administrative buildings. And there's one day where the time clock on the first floor wasn't working, so we had to go into the basement and use the time clock there. No big deal. The cool thing about it, at least I thought it was cool at the time, was I got to see the old fallout shelter, the bomb shelter. The one that really wasn't for the public, it was for everybody in that building who worked for the local government to go into, so that continuity of government thing, you know, where they protect themselves and they still try to run things, even with radiation slowly killing the population. Nobody has any food, the water's contaminated. Sewage is now an issue. Yeah. So let me tell you about this bomb shelter. The thing with that shelter is that when I saw it, it still had the blast door on it. Nice thick steel door. But on the inside, because it was wide open, on the inside, boxes and boxes and boxes of files. At least the files will survive. None of this has changed since then. None. Anywhere. Nowhere. New York City, they took down the fallout shelter signs, the ones that were required by law during the Cold War, so that the public knew where to go in the event of, like, hey, the air raid siren's going off and you might want to seek shelter. Yeah, it just wasn't that visually appealing. So there's that. And who knows what the hell is actually in those shelters now. Probably really no different than where I was working. We have done absolutely nothing. Our government has done absolutely nothing other than that little message you got on your phone that unfortunately did not create the zombies that I was promised. So yeah, keep that in mind. That is the one lesson, the one thing. If you get anything out of this video, it's to remember, even if there is a place for people to go in the event of that happening, it's not for you. So, yeah, I've been preparing, I've been doing things, I've been making sure I've got water filtration, water, food, sanitation, and a way of blocking out radiation. So yeah, these are things that you need to look at where you are at and prepare for those things. Because we've got Rotten Potato Brain in the office, Kamala Harris, who, I mean, if anything happens to him, she's running things. Because that makes me feel all nice and warm inside. Yeah. All I'm saying is, if you're looking at the government to come and help you, when that happens, I'm sorry, but it's going to be a long and miserable death. There's just no getting around that. Yes, they stockpiled meds for radiation sickness. They did. That is true. That they did that like a year or two ago. It's not for you. Unfortunately, in this country, we are on our own. I kind of like it that way. And hey, if you learned anything from Maui, don't listen to the authorities. It'll get you killed. Keep on typing.